Hi, I'm going to try to show you how I did on Simulknit. I finally ended up with a swatch after a couple of weeks of frustration that came out correctly. It feels really nice. And then today I tried it again and tried to record it, but of course the camera decided to not work right. So I'm giving it another go. With little boys and girls and some stripes in the back. The first couple weeks I tried this, I believe my problem was I wasn't using heavy enough weights and my tension was too tight on my upper mast. So this time I'm not doing that. Now another thing that I think is helpful is when you thread this rubber arm, is kind of hard for me to thread it. You have to get the yarn, it's supposed to come from the side up around here, and then it has to go in between these little pieces here. But it also, you have to make sure you pull it over so it gets into this little tiny spot right here. I don't know if you can see that. So I can do it, but it's a struggle to make sure it goes in right. So I like to thread it while I have it in my hand so I can maneuver it okay. So I just put it through the slot, up through that slot, and then I hold this and bring this over so I can see that it's going in there. And I hear that click, see? Now I got it in the slot on the bottom and on the top. So now I'll connect it to my carriage. I just put it, make sure the ribber is down. The ribber is set to H, half pitch, because you're going to be doing double bed, both nails on both beds, so you don't want them colliding. And then I'll just, after I get it threaded, I'll drop it down through here, and then I will put a clothespin on it. Make sure you're not catching it on the gate pegs. I have a problem doing that sometimes. Okay, so I have the clothespin on. So now I'm going to lift my rubber back up. Okay, now I'm going to cast on and do a couple of circular rows to get started. Make sure your carriages are set to plain. Everything's all plain down. Tension's on 0 on each of the carriages. And now you knit your circular row. Now you can slowly. Now you hang your comb. I like to try to feel for the 0, but if I can't get the 0 to line up, I look at my comb, because it's 50 and 50, and I'll move it. It's at 50 and 50 on each side. So I'll move it to make sure that it's kind of centered most of the way. So once I get that going, lined up, I'll use 3 of the big barrel weights this time instead of the small ones like I was doing. Of course, these aren't the ones that came with the machine, but they're heavy. I'll make sure I go to the edges of the comb. Okay, once I have the comb hung, I'll make sure that, let's give a little tug down. Okay, now I changed my tensions. I'm going to set up for a couple of circular rows like I was saying. So now I'm going to change the carriage, the main carriage to empty to the left, which means it'll knit to the right, and the ribber carriage slipping to the right, which means it'll knit to the left. Then I'm going to do a few circular rows, still at tension 0. So now that was the knitter, and then the ribber. Now I like to give a tug down. Okay, I'm going to do a couple more circular rows. Now I'm changing to 3, tension dial 3 on each. 2 more. Now I've gotten a couple of circular rows now. There's a base for the Simulknit. Make sure my rubber's even. Okay, the manual tells you, once you have that, to change your carriage on your main bed. Put your punch card in and have that set, which I've already done that. It's already locked on the row, so it's down on the where it's not going in. But we want to change. We still want to leave the empty on our. We leave the carriages alone, except for you just put the card lever up so the needles will be selected. That's all. Now the needles should be selected for the first row of the pattern. I'm going to move this across. And as you see, they were. Okay. Now, you want to change your carriage to knit and color. So, move it over so it says color. And then you're going to, on the river, you're going to make sure that the bottom levers are down, for S for Simulknit, and that your plane is set over on the side where you were slipping earlier. That's down. And then you want to move the lever on the river over to S for Simulknit. Now we're going to thread our second color. So we grab the second color, and then we're going to put that in where the S feeder is. The same principle applies as before. You want to come, I drop my yarn between my beds to start, and I just hold the bottom, pull the little sack on this, so it's a little taut. And same thing now, you're going to have to come through the carriage, the slide. Now with the Simulknit, you can look down in your carriage and see there's an oval thing. You want to make sure the yarn is between that oval thing and can run freely between it. Then you hang a clothespin on it. The tail. Now, before we can go any further, we take our carriage off of hold, so we put it up to the middle triangle, so now that it will knit. Farrah. We have it on color. We have everything all set for Simulknit, so now it's just a matter of knitting, and it should work pretty well. I changed my tension to 6 on both beds before I start, because I'm using a fingering weight acrylic, but when doubled it's quite thick. Now go very slowly, don't rush. And take your time, make sure it's nice even pressure. It's a little harder than normal knitting, of course, because you're knitting on 2 beds, but at the same time it's not that difficult. And I see I have a loop over here. That's okay. It's just a swatch. That's fine. I just have to watch how far I bring it over. I'm almost done with the card. Okay, now I'm going to stop the card, take the levers down, put this to slip to the left, so knit to the right, put this to slip to the right and knit to the left, which means I have to take this, the levers, all the Simulknit, put them all back to 0, and except for take the 0, put it to S. Now I'm just going to knit with the main yarn and do a few circular rows and take this off. So I cut the Simulknit yarn, take that off. Try to get this to drop down between the beds. Sometimes it's a bit tricky. I'll use my little hook. Come on, grab it. Don't get the hook caught. I don't want that getting caught in my carriage. That's what happened the last time. I got caught on the gate pegs. Okay. Now I should be set up for circular again. And I'm going to knit about 4 or 6 rows of circular. This and drop everything off the machine, but first I'm going to take the weights off so I don't fall on my feet. The big ones hurt. And take my comb out. And this all should just come off. And this is what we end up with. Let me get the clothespins off. Here's the back. And here's the front. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, I'm on Ravelry as Vivi Knits. So just pop me a line. Alright. Good luck.